Welcome to the Doctors Warren podcast, where our goal is to educate, empower, and equip you with the health and wellness knowledge to take your wellness to a whole nother level. We're going to use ancestral wisdom, clinical research, and over 25 years combined of clinical experience to bring you an all-in-one place to learn how to take your health to the next level. So welcome. I'm super excited you're here. Let's dive in. All right, guys, welcome to the Doctors Warren podcast. I'm excited. I've got my other half here with me, maybe my better half.
Yeah.
Dr. Rebecca Warren, Dr. Nathan Warren. We are excited to dive into today's topic. We're going to talk a lot about toxins, right? And toxicity. This is a topic that, we have went and learned from the best, right, over the last decade. And it's a topic that just, in all honesty, seems to be getting worse and worse and worse because we've created a toxic soup in this world. And more people are starting to become aware that, man, what they're exposed to, what they've been exposed to, their past history, how much it is actually affecting their symptoms and their health outcomes today. So I think this is going to be a great topic, right? For people that may be thinking like, I know I'm exposed to toxins, but it's such a big topic. I don't even know where to begin because it can be overwhelming.
Yeah. I think, what I think is interesting though? I feel like I've seen a very interesting movement right now. So there's like two different camps of people. And as you're listening to this, you need to kind of check yourself and see where you're at, right? Because I feel like there's a group of people that are like, okay, yeah, like this is a problem. There's toxins everywhere. And I need to make an effort to actually, you know what? I'm going to say there's three groups of people. I just thought of a third. Okay. So the first group is like, okay, there's toxins everywhere. I want to learn what I can do, or I think my health symptoms are related to, maybe mold or heavy metal toxicity. There's that group. There's another group that is more of like, well, there's toxins everywhere and you can't do anything about it. Like I have one of my coaching clients has really bad mycotoxin profile. And I don't know who it was in her life that was just essentially like, well, there's mold everywhere. There's like mold. Oh, in Florida, it's everywhere. And so there's a lot of people out there that are just going to go ahead and just write it off. Like, well, whatever.
Yeah.
And then I was going to say the last one then are the like super, so there's the dismissive, but then there's the super obsessive, right?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I can't do X, Y, and Z. And this is, and I had another one of my clients that is dealing with mycotoxin as well. And she was like very overwhelmed because like there's mold on food. Okay, like, no, we don't want you to live in fear because you can't live in a bubble and you dismiss it.
And that bubble would probably be made of plastic.
It would be made of plastic, so really you can't live in a bubble.
Exactly.
But then you can't ignore it. There's a lot of you guys that are ignoring. Like, your home has a mold issue. And I'm talking about mold just because I've been dealing a lot with it lately, but we're going to talk about a lot of different ones that you guys don't want to deal with it, or you don't want to deal with the signs and symptoms of heavy metal toxicity or something going on there. But what we want is for you guys to understand the right way to approach this. And it's a compounding effect, is understanding that you do everything you can to decrease your exposure as best you can and not live in fear, but then take the next steps to address it at a deeper and cellular level the right way.
Yeah. And I think just like any other health topic, right, there's always that middle ground. And that's what we always try to find, right? Like there's an extreme over here, there's an extreme over here. And we want to kind of find that middle ground of, yeah, toxins are numerous. We are exposed to them all the time. Our primary goal is not to get rid of every single toxin in the human body. Our primary goal is to reduce our toxic load, and maybe most important, reduce where those toxic loads are coming from, the one that we can control, right? And I think that's where we start getting into like, okay, now we have patients that are changing their lifestyle. They're seeing the changes happen, but they're also not overwhelmed with it.
Yeah. And then understanding that like detoxification is a lifetime practice.
It is.
Like, it just I can't stress enough the compounding effect of all of it. The compounding effect, like, the things that our children are being exposed to in the womb, like, they haven't even left the
Yeah.
womb. And then, you wanna compare it to generations ago, like, our grandparents and great-grandparents, it's insane. And in the end, like, what you've got to understand is that these companies
Yeah.
and these like the government, like in the end, they don't care about your health. Like, let me do it and tell you this. Like, there was this big controversy about lead in pouches and stuff like that. And like these companies were like, well, no, like we have kept it below the amount that the government says is safe. And I'm like,
Yeah.
are you freaking kidding me? Like, there's no safe lead levels for children like that.
Yeah.
Like no one's gonna care about this.
Or what I always like is, okay, so we know this is toxic to the human body. Okay, so you guys have until 2027 to get
Yeah.
it out of your stuff. Okay, so cool. So we only so 2 more years to poison humanity. And then we'll get it out. Like it's all good as long as it doesn't affect our bottom line. Like totally we'll get it out, right? Artificial flavors in Doritos. Yeah, we'll get it out, but give us a year so we can poison a few more people.
Yeah.
It'll be okay. We'll make
W
that
and
transition, and then we won't lose too much money, and we'll look like the good guys. Yes, we can do this, right?
yeah,
Yeah, and I think that, one of the areas that I wanted to start off with too, and this is probably your pet peeve as well, but it's one that drives me nuts, okay? Because I see it all over. I'm really not on social media,
at all.
but at all.
Like,
But
just a side note, I feel like you would go online and you would be one of those people that would fall for one of those phishing schemes, like where someone's like, "Hey, can you help me out?" Like, "Oh, I'm a prince in Nigeria, send me all this money." And you'd be like, "Oh my gosh, yeah, let me support this poor man."
I mean,
You're like the
my
techno
part of my brain that wants to hold on to being young and cool says, "No way, that wouldn't be me." The logical
Oh,
part of my brain says, "Yeah, that
definitely.
that would probably
Yeah.
be me."
So, yeah.
And
So you're not on social media.
so I'm not on social media, but I know it's everywhere because I hear my patients and clients and everybody talk about it is, do this 30-day
Oh, yeah.
smoothie detox, or I'm gonna go do this
Celery juice.
3-day, detox plan. And it's like that stuff drives me nuts. And I
Yeah.
remember because, again, we had the benefit of learning under Dr. Dan Pompa, who I believe is the detox expert in the world, right? And
Yeah.
one of the things he always talked about is there's a difference between cleansing and detoxification, right?
Yeah.
Detoxification happens at a cellular level. Um, and that's really where the biggest disruptions happen. Not that there's anything wrong with going and doing a,
Yeah.
30-day smoothie cleanse. Like that's cool, but don't expect that to be
A detox.
unloading a massive amount of lead and heavy metals and pesticides and things like that because it's not going to,
Yeah.
right? You may still see improvements in, your gut health and your skin and stuff like that because it does have a positive effect, but it's not cellular detoxification.
Yeah, and I'm gonna go ahead and add on to that, and you might not see this because you're so lame and not on social media, but
Yes.
one thing I've actually had seen pop up as well is, like, you don't need a detox, like, your body knows how to detox, like, you have a
Yeah.
liver and you have a kidney, and I'm just like, "Oh my goodness gracious,"
Yeah.
as if, like, we know that liver function can go down.
Yeah.
We know that at a cellular level, at a tissue level, that, the liver changes,
Yeah.
especially now that we're looking at all this influx of, like, non-alcoholic fatty liver,
Yeah.
kidney issues, like, this I mean, because it's the same thing I see in the thyroid world, like, doctors are like, Your body knows what to do with that thyroid hormone," and we see over and over again, it doesn't. It can't anymore because of the burden our bodies are under.
Absolutely.
So this idea like, "Oh, you'll detox all of this." No, we were never meant to be exposed to the amount of things. I mean, I'll be real, like, there's a period of time there where I was like, "Okay, I need to stop reading articles about" even here locally, testing the Tennessee River,
Oh, man.
and I was like, "I can't." Like, I know it's toxic, like, I know microplastics, I mean, we know it's there, but we were never, ever, ever our liver, our kidneys, our gut were never, ever, ever meant to be exposed to all these things.
Yeah, with that load, right? And I mean, I think usually the people that post that are usually the ones that don't wanna give up the things that they know they need to
Yeah,
give up, right? Like, Those are usually the ones that are, popping Tylenol and, they show, like, beautiful things online, but they're
Yeah,
really doing that, or they're going to get the COVID vaccine, doing things that are just
yeah.
absolutely toxic to the human body, right? So, um, you know
Well,
well,
one thing I wanna add, since we're talking
yeah.
about things that annoy us that
Yeah.
we're seeing, because guys, remember, like, this is a lived experience for both of us. Like, yeah, we're helping people do this, and we've been doing it decade plus, but this is also lived experience for me. Like, I know, like, I had someone ask me, like, because I made a video and I was like, "I know what caused my thyroid cancer," and they're like, "What?" I'm like, "I mean, I was lead toxic. I was high with lead, high with mercury. When I started detoxing, like, my brain function was like, I could see it. It was just such a big thing." So, for us, like, we see all these things. Well, one thing that just pisses me off,
Yeah.
and we've gotta touch on this
Yeah.
before we talk about, like, toxicity and, like, what detoxification could possibly look like, because we could do a whole separate,
Yeah.
like, episode just on what detoxification should look like. But my issue is, okay, so you guys know this. There's a lot of you guys that are kind of going into this health world and you know this, and then you start detoxing or you start parasite cleansing. You start just going in
Yeah.
and starting to try to move all this junk. What was the big one? The TRS, like a big, like,
Oh, yeah, the
multi-level
spray.
long, the spray, the zeolite spray.
Yeah.
And then there's all of these parasite stuff. And I'm seeing women that come in to see me
Mhm.
and their gut, they're not having normal bowel movements, or they're all these signs
They're
of, like,
not
their
sweating.
T3 is low, they're not sweating, they have low T3, which means your clearance pathways suck. And so I mean, I've had multiple, like, I've done this parasite cleanse, and I'm like, yeah, you're wrecking your body.
Yeah.
Eh, And I'm gonna die on this hill, and I don't care what anyone thinks. And if you're not aligned with this, which I've noticed, there's people that have worked with me that are not aligned with this, and now I'm like, okay, we shouldn't work together in the future. Like, now I know what to look out for. I am never going to detox you. I am never going to go after Lyme in a very intense way. I am never going to get rid of mycotoxins if your freaking body can't clear it out. If you are congested, if you have all the signs and symptoms of a stressed out to the max body. Now, I understand that, like, these toxins
Mhm.
can cause your body to get stressed,
Yeah.
but you need to hit multiple points to have long-term results from your detoxification or dealing with underlying infections. And a lot of people are out there are
Mm.
doing, like, buying, again, the parasite cleanse is wild to
Oh,
me, how
yeah.
many people are killing parasites without fully understanding, like, the toxic load that parasites can drop, or the fact that having parasites could be a protective mechanism.
Or do they
Like,
even have a microbiome to support
yeah,
that, right? Like,
gosh,
yeah, I mean,
I one client, and this is not about toxicity, but that has done multiple rounds of antibiotics with SIBO, which, if the SIBO is bad enough, good antibiotics, possibly help, like, whatever. Everyone gets to make their own decision. But what frustrates me is that these doctors have ignored the fact that she has low T3,
Mm.
very low T3, like
Yeah.
at the bottom end of the range. Low T3 means low stomach acid,
Mm.
low gut motility, low bioproduction, like, all these things. So I'm like, "Okay, cool,
What's
so
gonna show back up? Well,
you're gonna kill off all this bacteria, and you don't have an environment, you don't have a terrain
yeah,
to keep it at bay."
support it. Yeah.
So, guys, chill out on just going on and just buying these supplements unless you understand what's going on with your body now, what could happen if all of these things are killed off. Like, honestly, you should be working with a practitioner, plain and simple.
Yeah.
If it's real detox, if it's real
Yeah.
cleansing, someone that's going to look at the body as a whole and first talk about lymphatic system
Yeah.
and bowel movements and gut microbiome
Yeah.
and hormones. And there's it just ticks me off
Oh, yeah.
because
It's
I
like
do.
trying to go after heavy metals, but yet your A1C is 6.9,
Yeah.
right?
Oh
Or
my gosh.
that your homocysteine is out of this roof, which means, like, you're not
Relation.
collating
Yeah.
well. Like,
Which I
you are
see.
only gonna end up hurting yourself more. It's kinda like the idea of when people are taking heavy detox, or even doing, like, detox supplements, or even doing, like, chelation therapy, and they have 3 mercury fillings in their mouth, right? Like,
Yeah.
you're better off, in all honesty, just leaving it. than to do
Oh,
heavy detoxification with those in your mouth,
chelating.
right? Because the
Yeah.
best option for you is go get those things out safely,
Yeah.
right? Before you ever do any type of detoxification. So we just see all these steps that are missed
Oh my gosh, yeah.
before you get to that. That's why, like, when most people come into our office, especially as a new patient, we don't talk to them about, "Hey, let's go. We're about to detox you."
No.
Unless for some reason we didn't have the time, right? Like if there was a specific reason. But first thing we're going to do is make sure that are all the foundations set? Like is your important markers where they need to be? Is your body ready? Are you peeing, pooping, sweating the way that you need to? Are your clearance pathways ready? Is your thyroid numbers ready for this? Is your gut microbiome ready for this? Okay, you've been doing this health journey for a couple years, you're set. Now let's
Let's
go,
go.
right?
Yeah.
And then guess how they feel when you do it that way?
So much better.
So much better.
I mean,
Yeah.
you
I
know,
mean, they can
that's yeah.
still have,
Yeah, oh,
but I mean, like comparatively, like
yeah.
especially if you go read any online forums, like, oh, I'm doing this heavy metal detox. Like, is it normal to have
I'm
20
like,
days of a migraine?
yeah.
Like, no,
No.
it's not.
Mm.
Like, dudes, whatever you're doing, stop. You're destroying yourself.
Oh,
And I do think
yeah.
that's important.
And let me add this too, because I've seen this pop up and I've got to address this. Like, if there's any company that's telling you two different things, um, this is going to detox you, like from toxins or like heavy metals, and it's safe to do while you're nursing. Holy crap, run away from that. Either they're lying to you about one or the other. Either it's not really detoxing you or they are so dangerous. And I've seen that, especially kind of with, I don't know, people still use the spray a lot, but I saw that in conversations and online. I was like, okay, I got to remove myself from this because this is insane. Remember that breast milk is more like blood, right?
Yeah.
That is something that you're going to be passing on directly to your kids. You should not, there's a time and a pace while you're pregnant, while you're nursing there that's not the time to detox or push that detoxification hard. And then with kids detoxification, guys, this has got to be a very specific, gentle, like it has to be a very correct approach for each child.
Yeah.
And so please don't run off and start trying to like just detox kids on your own. So there's some disclaimers there, but you should never be detoxing of any sort, killing off parasites or doing anything intensive that could release endotoxins while nursing.
Yeah. And I mean, it's just not the time. Right.
Yeah.
Like the time is before would be the most
Yeah.
ideal thing to do. Um, and then we could talk about like there's still options for like food, like whole food based things that help support the body's natural processes, to detox. Like there's things like that you could do. But yeah, the difference between forcing detoxification and, like, supporting are different categories, like, if you take a pregnant woman and you're like, "Okay, during your pregnancy, we're gonna have you, you know, you can eat some really good quality organic, you know, chlorella and spirulina. Cool, right? Like, I mean, they're loaded with essential fatty acids. They have essential amino acids in there, all kinds of vitamins and minerals. Like, that's great, right? You're supplying like nutrition to the human body, and yet it will have some natural components to bind to toxins, right? Is it gonna do some deep, deep cellular force it out, from the bone and the brain and things like that? No, and thank God, because it's that stuff is going to your baby. And speaking of, like, pregnancy, I it kinda brought me back to remember in the early 2000s, the Environmental Working Group did a study where they
Right.
evaluated, cord blood, right? Like, what was going to the baby from mom, and it was like 267 toxins on average. But these were not just like little toxins, right? Remember, it was like 60% were we know without a shadow of a doubt are neurotoxic. And some very serious endocrine disruptors. And, you think on average, right? So that being said, there was probably some that had less. So think about the ones that had to make up
Mhm.
for that average. Um, it's just wild, guys. Like the amount we're exposed to. I think according to the EPA, it was about 90,000 toxins. Is what the average American is exposed to on a yearly basis. More than likely, that number is higher.
Mm.
And then I think about like you and I and how we live our life with our kids. Now think about the ones that have to make up for that, right? Like that
Yeah.
number is really it's mind blowing. Um, and those are the ones they want you to know about, right? Like,
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, it's
again,
fair,
that
it's
number
fair.
is probably way higher. But I think to begin the discussion on toxicity, let's kind of start like this. You know, the primary ways that we're exposed to toxins are what? Via the lungs, what we breathe in,
Yep.
via the skin, right? What comes through the skin, and then via the gut and the intestine, what we eat, right? So those are kind of our primary ways that these come into the human body. And then we talk a lot about the liver. Why? Like, let's be very clear. Like, we look at the liver as a detoxification organ, but it's not a detoxification organ because of its ability to filtrate, right? Like, I think that's
Yeah.
important for people to know. Um, because I think when they think about the liver, they think of it as like a, charcoal coconut shell, right? That like just mops up the toxins and, filtrates the toxins. But that's not what it does, right? Like it's an organ that helps with our detoxification mechanisms, like what? Producing glutathione. Glutathione being the master antioxidant, still the strongest one we know today that's produced in your own liver that is involved in cellular detoxification, right? Like it's one of our primary mechanisms for which we are able to detoxify. Um, and then toxins exit how? Via skin, via filtration from the kidneys, which means we what? We pee it out. And then the colon, right? So, which comes into play with the gallbladder and the bile, right? And fat soluble toxins. And then also the lungs. The lungs, toxins can exit through the lungs as well. And so we know there's different types of toxins, right? We have fat soluble toxins, we have water soluble toxins. Fast soluble toxins are going to be more of like our pesticides, our hormones that we're exposed to. Yes, if you drink tap water, right, and you're drinking crappy
Yeah.
water, you are being exposed to hormones. Like, that is not a conspiracy theory. That is a fact. So, we'll talk about water filtration maybe in a minute. Heavy metals, these are fat soluble toxins. Why are they hard to get out of the body? They're stored in your fat tissue, which is why I go back and I say, if you're a human being with an A1C of 7 and you have type 2 diabetes and you are overweight and you start trying to detox yourself, you are going to be sick, 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 sick because those toxins are stored in your fat tissue. And what does the bile do? Your body likes to do what? Likes to recycle it. Why?
Yeah.
Because it's efficient. It's efficient. So if you are not prepared and ready, now we're creating issues with the liver, the gallbladder, the bile duct, the hepatic duct. You're just creating a toxic soup that ends up recycling the appropriate place your body put toxins away from your visceral organs now to more dangerous places. So,
Can we and let's even just touch on just a second. I just want to touch on how about all the people now that are losing massive amount of weight
all right,
very quickly, essentially.
those Ozempics and
The Ozempic and Wegovy, the GLPs, like,
whatever.
I think, I mean, I, I mean, with their like, there's so much. There's just we should have just like a deeper conversation on this because there's so much to have. Like, it's can improve metabolic, the metabolism and blood sugar and all these things and people. But then there's also that factor as well of how much stuff is encased in those fat cells. And
Yeah.
a lot of people like understanding that, like, yeah, you might not feel great
Yeah.
when you lose all that weight. And this might be a contributing factor to that.
Yeah. I mean, you're forcing your body right, to lose weight and to lose fat. And those fat molecules are storing toxins away from your organs. So you are forcing those to go somewhere. And more than likely, if you were in that category of being, that overweight, the amount of toxins your body store is going to be just can't even fathom it. And we know, like, I mean, you know this because we've seen them in here. Like, eh, what the world doesn't talk about is for every like celebrity success story of, Ozempic, there is 5 other real people who have lost weight and they feel like absolute dump, right?
Yeah,
Like, they
yeah,
don't look like, even if they lost weight, they don't look good, right?
yeah.
I mean, you can say what you want, but
Not
they
done
look
the right way,
yeah,
yeah.
and yeah, I mean, that's the other thing, like, with a lot of things, like, even medications, we know that if
Yeah,
used appropriately
use
and
where
used probably in a different way than the pharmaceutical company
yeah,
thought
yeah.
about using it, that there could be benefits to it, right? Like, we've heard about practitioners using, things like Ozempic and like
Microdosing,
yeah, microdosing,
peptides, yeah.
pressing and
It's
pulsing
done
it.
the right way, and yeah, with the pulsing and
Yeah.
microdosing, and then also adding in all the other things that have to be there for the gut health, the muscle health, and like we just talked about detoxification. So I think like someone's gonna hear this and be like, okay, oh my gosh, I did feel I do feel that after
Yeah.
this
Oh,
all this
there's
thing.
no doubt. Yeah.
And so just let you know, you're not crazy. It's not all in your head. But because fat cells again are just viewed in such a negative light, rightfully so, for a lot of reasons. But then we also kind of miss the fact of like why, for a lot of people, it's created.
Yeah.
And for a lot of people, it's a protective mechanism that you still have to address what it was doing
Yeah.
for you.
And doesn't that take us back to the foundation that the body doesn't make mistakes, right? Like,
Yeah.
it doesn't. You don't. I'm sorry, this may step on some toes, but you don't randomly get cancer. Okay, you don't randomly have diabetes. You don't, by chance have a heart attack or a stroke. The body does the best with what it has, which
Yeah.
means it is going to its primary job is to adapt to its internal and external environment in the best way to keep you alive in the moment.
Yeah.
Which means that if it has to choose
Yeah.
with all this lead that you've been exposed to,
Yeah, man.
it's going to say, where can I put this in the body that it creates the least? Now, I didn't say no damage, the least amount of damage for right now, and kind of put this off in the hopes that somehow, some way, it's able to get out, right? What does it do? Puts it in the bone, right? What does it do with mercury? Puts it in the brain. Why? I mean, either you don't function normally now as a 20-year-old and you have all kinds of issues, or you have Alzheimer's when you're 85,
Yeah.
right? Like, I mean, neither one is good, but at the same time, like, this other person got to live another 65 years of
Yeah.
their life, right? Like, the body does not make mistakes.
We just got to do the best we can, right? Like you can't, again, like with all of those things, like you mentioned, again, it's understanding. Listen, if God's calling you home,
Mhm.
God's got a bigger
Yeah, I
plan,
mean,
right?
yeah,
But also, like exactly like you said, like our body's going to do what it can with what it has to deal with. And that's why, like, you guys got to care about this stuff. You got to care about what companies are doing. You got to care and vote with your money
yeah,
about these things so that, companies and the government, they know like you're not okay with this. Because the more and more us, but for me, our children and our future generation, they keep getting exposed to all these things more and more and more because you don't care,
yeah.
because you're not making those changes. The more they're going to be affected by things out of their own control, creating
Yeah.
diseases that they shouldn't have, creating diseases we shouldn't have at numbers we shouldn't have.
I know, and it shouldn't be a political issue, right? Like, we all should be like
Listen, like,
isn't it funny too, like,
yeah.
what we see right now where it's like
Well, I told you about that dentist,
yeah,
right? This
yeah,
dentist who's been practicing for like 40 years, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Big online. And he's like, you know what's crazy? I've been fighting against fluoride as a dentist, as a functional dentist, like for decades. He's like, when I was fighting for the removal of fluoride decades ago, I was called a liberal. You're a liberal because you want fluoride away. And now he's like, now everyone's calling me a conservative. He's like, this is not
Yeah.
political. It's toxic to your brain.
Oh,
Let it
no,
out.
that's a
Like,
perfect example.
it's
Yeah.
crazy.
It's like, before you'd find, liberals in California that were like, we'll never eat Doritos. Those are disgusting. And then now they're like, you're taking the red dye out of our Doritos. Like, how dare you? Like,
Crazy world we
that's
live in.
crazy. I don't know, man. It's wild to me.
We've seen it. Like
Yeah.
I've been, you've been in this health world longer than me because of your mom. I've been in it for 20 years. I've seen it, and I'm just like, can we just move the politics out of it and say right is right, wrong is wrong, and eating junk constantly is gonna kill you.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
can we just?
Absolutely.
It's just
I
like,
always thought, like, in 15 years ago, I was like, if there's ever a chance to reel in these pharmaceutical giants, I thought, more than likely it'd probably come from the liberal side of things, right? Like, and then now, like, it's like we have liberal side fighting for rights for the pharmaceutical companies and don't take it away, and then you have conservatives that are
the best you can do is listen. You got to care about
not
your
a
health.
political thing.
It's not. You got to care.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
We
it's
digress to there. Like going back to
yeah.
fat and toxins.
Yeah, so you got fat soluble toxins, you got water soluble toxins. Listen, fat soluble toxins tend to have an affinity for, so stored in the body in the fat cells, the bone marrow, the liver, and then the brain, central nervous system and brain, because we should also include spinal cord nerves. Water soluble toxins seem to have more of an affinity for joints and blood and tissues and muscles, right? So that's where we're going to see the difference there. But they both, right? Both of them lead later to the things that you deal with, right? The eczema, the skin rashes, the allergies, the autoimmune disorders, the cardiovascular disease. Don't forget about that. Sometimes people think that they forget that, like, oh, wait a second. Did you know that lead toxicity is one of the main contributors to cardiovascular disease?
Yep.
Forget about that. Fibromyalgia, IBS, inflammatory disorders, right? All of these different things, they can show up with fat soluble toxins and water soluble toxins. And then the most likely scenario for most of us is we have both, right? We're exposed to both. Now, since we're on the topic, let's talk about, water soluble toxins. This is why one of the best things we can possibly do with those is to remove our exposure to them, right? Because they actually get out of the body a lot quicker than fat soluble toxins.
Which are mostly like our environmental toxins.
Environmental toxins, right? Those are going to be things like the BPAs and the BPS, the plastics, the phthalates, the parabens.
Can we talk about this though? Like you're talking those. Can we just talk about this? Because I have a couple of women dealing with this right now.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, you guys aren't sweating.
Yeah, no. There's a lot of people who don't.
Sweating is one of the best ways to get rid of these environmental toxins. Now listen, we love infrared saunas. We love going deep into the tissue, but a lot of the research is just on steam saunas, like freaking sweating. And
sweat,
we are not we are meant to interact with this world, but we live in this modern world where we make everything so dang comfortable.
Yeah.
And that we don't experience these variations, and this lack of sweating is disastrous.
Yeah. But results come in the uncomfortability.
Yeah.
Right? In everything.
Yeah.
We've learned that over time, right?
Yeah.
But it's so true. Like, whether you're talking about relationally, business-wise, health-wise, the changes in the growth happen in the uncomfortability.
Yeah.
The muscle grows under stress with exercise, right? The body change when you diversify the diet and you go from, I was a vegan for 2 years to now I'm doing carnivore for 6 months, right?
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden the muscle comes up and your energy levels come up, and it growth comes in the uncomfortability stage, right?
Yeah.
But like all of humanity forever, it's a constant search for comfort. And then we will meet our bias to meet comfort.
Oof.
So
Okay, excuse me. I think we're even going deeper here
yeah,
on healing and mindset and all of that. But that's,
I
I
don't
mean, I
do
do.
that, but no, I'm just kidding.
Do as I say,
Yeah,
right? But
exactly.
no, that's been just, I think, I think as doctors, as servants, as parents, all we're constantly being challenged is to be
Yeah.
uncomfortable because
But
God's called us to more.
yeah, and isn't that important though with health? Like
Yeah.
it's something like I talk about it with my patients all the time on the chiropractic side, right? Like, a lot of them are trying to wrest their way through a disc issue. And I'm like, honestly, if all you do is sit there all the time, that disc issue is going to get
Yeah.
worse,
Yeah.
And by chance that the pain does go away, guess what? Guess what? It's going to come back with a vengeance because you never moved. Like it's just it comes in the uncomfortability. That's where the growth happens, right? So
And one thing I want to add too, just as we leave this and go back
Mhm.
to those water soluble toxins, a lot of you guys are out there doing this cold plunges and all of that. What you should be doing is sweating.
Yeah. Oh
We
yeah.
should be going the opposite directions and detoxing.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh yeah. Well, and that's like my least favorite health thing to do would be to
oh
do
my gosh,
enjoying.
we should do an episode on that.
Yeah, and we do know there is a very slippery slope downside to doing cold exposure like that. So
This is when we started talking about cold plunging long ago. We talked about it contrast, but we also talked about it with heat and cold and controlling a parasympathetic. I don't think I could have ever wrapped my head around so many people, especially so many women doing it, not doing it right, doing it too much. I mean, I just, yeah. So if you're wondering, what would doctors want me to do? Should I cold plunge or sweat? Go stinking sweat.
go sweat.
Go
Yeah,
sweat, add in some binders,
absolutely.
help get those toxins out.
No doubt. No doubt. No doubt. No doubt. So yeah, again, water soluble toxins is, most common areas we see exposure to those. Okay. Let's just do a rapid fire here. Water soluble toxins that I see, deodorants, shampoos, beauty products, right?
Yeah.
The ones that people don't want to change.
Yeah, that's
And
the problem.
like they
Beauty
do not want to change those.
Oh my gosh, don't even get me started on, like, the body beauty products women, like, especially in a day and age where, like, makeup is just, like, so huge, especially for young girls. It's killing us. It's
It
killing
is.
our hormones. It's killing your daughter's hormones. Like, again, I understand, like, again, I've already said you can't live in a bubble, but, like, if my young daughter, who hasn't even fully gone through puberty, is caking her face with these
Mhm.
products that are these water-soluble toxins that mimic estrogen and disrupt your hormones, I'm not. Like, I
Yeah.
can be the bad mom, I'm gonna protect you for this amount of time, and then you can implement it, but we get again, it's compounding, it's all the things, right? It's the perfumes, it's the makeups, it's the soap, it's the deodorant, again, it's thing on top of other thing, on top of other thing, on top of other thing, and then we got menstrual products that
Yeah.
are bleached and chemical, and we're inserting and we're putting in. It's like, oh my gosh, there's so much exposure we're getting, and then we're not sweating, and then
Yeah.
we're not moving,
Yeah.
and our lymphatic system is stagnant. It's
But
a lot.
here's the good news, right? The good news is we live in a world now where there is so many brands out
There
there,
is now, yeah.
yeah, that do things the right way. So it's like, okay, you know, like I know that my deodorant has aluminum and a bunch of crap in it, but, like, I also don't wanna smell like a pig, right, when I go somewhere. Well, guess what? There's brands that make those for you now that
Yeah.
are made from, like I mean, you look at the ingredients, you're like, "Technically, I could take a bite of this," right? Like, it's made
Yeah.
from good ingredients. So, 11 years ago, when we first started seeing patients and stuff, I mean, how much harder was this topic for people? Like, it was 1,000 times harder for our patients because not all these brands existed, right? I think,
Patience, what about me?
like, deodorant, I think all we had was, like, that Crystal Rock one and Tom's, you know?
It's about deodorant. My hair.
Yeah, your hair. Yeah, yeah, that's true.
No, that's Yeah, that's so true. And listen, I'm a cynic naturally. I'm very critical. I don't think, I don't know, I think things are always harder.
Yeah.
But I do truly believe and know without a doubt that if you vote with your dollars, things change.
Oh, yeah, we've seen it.
If you I mean, we see it now. Yeah, like, we've seen that transition, especially in the food world. But if you guys are okay with them putting all this junk there, and then even the price point of these other options, like, it'll become cheaper
Yep.
if they find out in the end they wanna make money,
Yep.
right?
Yep. Yeah.
So
100%.
vote with your money, and let's challenge them to make it better.
Yep, no doubt. And again, like, even these, the plastics, the things like that. These are things, you know, going home and saying, "Do I have old plastic Tupperware? Do I have what
Yeah.
plasticware is in my kitchen? I'm gonna get rid of it." Like, go get rid of it. Why? Because there's brands out there now. You can go to the store and buy, you know, glass storage containers, right? Like, you can buy things that are non-toxic that you can still store things in. And guess what? You've had those plastic things for 20 years. You have gotten your money's worth out of them. I promise.
Yeah.
You did it. You did it. You got your investment.
But I will tell you this, because we've done it. Listen, buying glass storage was expensive.
Yeah.
Remember back when we were in chiropractic school, I used to walk around with like old juice bottles
Mhm.
for my water bottles
Yeah.
because it was just so much more expensive. But guess what? More people bought it. Like now you can. Like you can get like a box of like glass.
Yeah.
Just
Oh,
get
yeah.
throw it away. Some of you guys just could have let go of this
Go
again and staying Tupperware.
get you yeah, exactly. Go get you a trash bag and
Right on.
throw it away, right?
Yeah.
Change it, start changing these things out, and we've had patients in the past that with diagnosis like PCOS and stuff like that, where they started cleaning up their environment for what they can control, and it was like night and day difference within a month or two. It was wild. Why? Because water soluble toxins come out pretty quick, right? Like
Mhm.
they can, so we got to limit our exposure to these things as well. I'll give you a topic just because we're transparent on this podcast. I'll give you one that's hard, right? That's really hard. And it's one that, I think hopefully we see some big movements in this one day.
But
Clothes. That's a
oh
hard one.
man,
I know.
yeah.
And this is one I can tell you right now.
Oh man.
We are not near perfect
Oh my
with this
God.
one, right?
Yeah.
But it's also with the awareness that I know it's real,
It's tough.
you know?
Listen,
Yeah.
babe, I've had come to Jesus moments with you. We love us in Patagonia. You love us.
Love it.
You love for us Patagonia.
Yeah. I
But
do.
man, we love the company. We love this. But how much of it is plastic that we're wearing?
So they're like,
And
"It's
putting on
recycled plastic." I'm like,
Like,
"Yeah, but it's going into my body."
yeah.
They're like, "We're getting it out of the ocean," which again, I'm all about that. Like, dude, let's get it out of the ocean. But like, I don't want to put it like on me. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, and the problem with you is, like, you wanna, like and I'm gonna get this disclaimer for all of you guys, like, you love buying the gear, like, the cool, like, this
gotta
stuff.
have the gear.
Honestly, the first step that's very easy when it comes to our clothes is just buying natural like, buying cotton.
Yeah, that's
It doesn't
true.
even have to be branded, like, I mean, let's be real, like, Costco has really great, like, cotton, 100% cotton,
Yeah, yeah.
but all this, like,
No,
"Oh,
it's a hard one.
wait, hold on, oh my
Like,
gosh, I gotta bring something up."
Right.
I feel like I'm gonna offense a lot of moms when I say that.
What?
But bamboo.
Oh yeah.
Okay, don't get mad at me because and again, one step at a time, right? Like we are not perfect
No.
with clothes. I mean, gosh, I love me some good fast fashion, which is not good over
Yeah, yeah.
hurt the environment, but I do like H&M. Anyways, the bamboo itself is a very hard plant, but bamboo clothes is very, very soft.
Yeah.
The chemical process, the processing of bamboo
Yeah.
creates a toxic product.
Yeah. Which
Where?
makes sense. I mean, when you describe it how you describe it, it goes from massively hard to like
Super
softest
soft.
scratchy thing you can find, right? Like, yeah.
That's a tough one. But listen, one thing at a time. One thing
Yeah.
we are working on the close side
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
But again, it can be very simple as again, cotton,
Yeah.
like hand me downs or second, was it second owned, whatever.
Yeah. And
Way of doing that.
and again, like, why do we go over these things? Because it's different for all of you guys. Like, some of you may have gotten rid of so much stuff, changed so much stuff. Your last little step is like, hey, maybe we should be a little more conscious about what type of clothes we were buying. Right?
Exactly.
Like, cool,
Yeah.
man, that's great. And then others are like, dude, you just need to start with,
The
hey, I don't,
plastic.
yeah, the plastic and get that out of your kitchen. Maybe some of you just need to start with water filtration, right? Like doing something like that, because guess what? If these are water soluble toxins and you're drinking not clean water, you are loading the human body
Mhm.
with massive amount of
I
toxins.
mean, do you think about, and I want people to understand again, we are looking at from a long-term view of health, right?
Yeah.
When I look at what I thought was healthy 20 years ago, like
Yeah.
I was chugging like probably genetically modified soy milk like
Yeah.
all day
Oh,
long
yeah.
and doing all this junk
Tofu.
and
Like, oh, it's
food,
fried tofu. It's
fried tofu. Oh my
yeah.
gosh, that was my jam.
Yeah.
But the goal is that like when you know better, you do better. And your goal is that you're compounding in the opposite direction, right?
Yep.
You're compounding with more toxicity, which means like it's not just like a little bit here, a little bit here. It's like they make each other worse, right?
Yeah.
Now let's compound in the positive direction that, you make these changes in this season and then you make the next change in the next season.
Yeah.
And then you look up 20 years from now, you're talking about bamboo.
Yeah.
And you're like, got rid of all this bamboo.
Yeah, right. There
Yeah.
you go. Yeah, and then we can talk about that. Yeah, I mean, I think so like especially with water soluble toxins, let's just talk about like two like if there were two of the most important things that you could do to help like eliminate a lot of these toxins, it would be have great filtration for your water. And number two, filter your air, right? Like filter your air. Why? Because what do we talk about? Skin, lungs, gut. Okay. All of your cells require water to function. So when you drink toxic water, we are loading ourselves with toxins. So filter your water, filter your air, right? And there's several different great brands out there for those things. Water can be as simple as you need it to be. It's no longer does it
It's
have to
not
be
so
this.
tough. Yeah.
No, it doesn't have to be this. I got to go spend $6,000 on
No.
a whole home filtration system. Maybe for you, you've been using a pitcher in the refrigerator, and now you need to roll into like maybe I get a gravity system. We use one like Pro One filters is a great one that we like to use. Pro One, they even have like the pitchers for the refrigerator, right? They have some really cool options on there. Maybe if you've been using gravity system and you're like, hey, you know what, we have the funds to do this. Maybe now you do get a whole home filtration system.
The one thing I will say though,
Yeah.
if you're going to use reverse osmosis, put minerals back in
Yeah.
your water.
Yeah, and if you're gonna spend $4,000 on a whole home filtration system, can I just say, go ahead and spend an extra grand on a company that remineralizes it, harmonizes it, so they structure the water, and they UV light it at the end of it. Like those systems exist, right? Like, don't just be like, I'm gonna go spend 3,000 on a Aquasana unit because they pay the most for advertising, but yet it's not your best product. Do you see what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
it's kind of like you're already going to invest a lot in it. Go ahead and get the top quality that's going to do it all. Like, it's going to put the minerals back in it from a good source. It's going to filter out all the toxins. It's going to structure the water. Like, there's so many factors that it'll do. So, with the water, choose where you're at, right? Like where you're at, there's many different options with that. I think we even have them on our website. Like if you go over to doctorswarren.com, I think we have like under our favorite shop, you can see some of those things. Same thing with air filters, right? You can go as expensive as you want to go, or you can go like, hey, I'm going to get an air doctor or a molecule, or, I'm going to get a Jasper unit. These are great units.
I mean, I plain and simple, I think every home should have a good air filtration. Like, I mean, they did
Especially
studies on how most toxic.
Dealing with mold or anything.
Oh my gosh.
Oh,
Actually, I wanted to share this CBS News. I came across this just recently. And I mean, this isn't just a functional thing, right? Like we're talking about, they're talking mold is causing a hidden health crisis as the risk of extreme weather grows. About 29% of the nation's population lives in flood prone or coastal counties. Um, but listen to this. They're like, so, and with near, let me go to it. And with nearly half of all residential buildings in the US estimated to contain mold or dampness, and millions living in flood prone areas, there is a massive risk for people throughout the nation developing respiratory illnesses. But listen to this. The health consequences of mold exposure range from mild allergic reactions like congestion and asthma
Mhm.
flare ups to severe respiratory conditions, including a rare lung inflammation known as hypersensitivity pneumonitis, and even mycotoxin related illnesses, which can cause neurological damage, liver disease, and kidney dysfunction. How many
Mm.
people have you had say, like, "Oh, yeah, I thought I saw mold in my home?"
Oh, yeah. I mean,
Like, very,
it's like every day.
"Yeah, I thought yeah, I've seen, like, black stuff growing here and there," and I'm just like,
So we cleaned it with bleach,
"Which
and
part
then you're like, "Oh gosh." Like,
don't
that
clean
that
it?"
just pisses them off. Yeah, or it just pisses off the mold.
The mold, not the person.
No, yeah, I mean, it'll piss them off too. You
Spores.
wanna get some mood issues?
Yeah,
Get some mycotoxins in your brain
it's
and your
spores.
body, yeah.
Sinus issues,
Yeah.
lungs, respiration.
Yeah. So, I mean, filter your air best you can, right? Like, I think those are great things that you can do, as well. From the fat soluble standpoint, right? This is why we talk about, eating as close to your natural sources you can possibly get, right? Maybe it's a local farmer who does things better than organic. Maybe it's an Amish farm near you that you can get, again, food that is raised better than organic. If you don't have those resources, try to choose organic, right? Like, is organic perfect? No, right? Like, does that mean you shouldn't try to choose organic over conventional? Are you kidding me? Like, I always hate it when people say that.
Oh
Well,
my gosh.
organic's not perfect either. Okay, then still go buy your genetically modified pesticide ridden crap. Like, it's still 10 times worse than organic, right? Like, choose the best that you can with what you have, but trying to limit the pesticide, the herbicide, the fungicide exposure is very, very important as fat soluble toxins. Um, Heavy metals, right? Most common places we see those things, making sure that we're getting rid with a good biological dentist, getting rid of those amalgam fillings, making sure that those are removed appropriately, and trying to limit, our exposure if you live in an area that maybe what do they call it? Is it a CDC hotspot? Yeah, AKA parts of Chattanooga with
Yeah,
Ted in
yeah,
here somewhere, right? Like, things like that, like, dude, we may have to go above and beyond to not like, if you got an old home that you're renovating, please do everything you can to make sure that you're not being exposed to lead paint,
oh
right? Like,
man, yeah.
things like that we're trying to limit our exposure with those. And, I mean, we've talked about this before we move on. Fat soluble toxins, just go ahead and assume they're in you, right?
Yeah.
Whether they come from your exposure or from your mom, your grandmother, your great grandmother, right? The ones that lived through the lead generation, the ones that lived in the mercury generation when they were putting mercury in everything from vaccines to contact lens solution. It's just bottom line, those are toxins that get passed down from generation to generation. So those are going to be some of the things we want to limit. And we spend a lot of time on that. Why? Because heavy metals, fat soluble toxins, water soluble toxins, most important thing you can do is get yourself away from them and eliminate those exposures in your environment the best you can. That's still the best way.
Thank you for tuning in to the Doctors Warren podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, I'm going to ask 2 favors. Number 1, if you could leave us a 5-star review. Not only do we love to hear from you guys, please let us know how this information is helping you. But by leaving that review, you allow us to reach more people with this message. And number 2, make sure to subscribe. That way, when a new episode pops up, you get immediate access to it. You can also go to our website if you're looking for help with consultation, want to join our newsletter to get the most up-to-date health information sent straight to your inbox, our supplement protocol, and more. By going to our website at doctorswarren.com, DRSWARREN.com, we do consultations both locally in Chattanooga, Tennessee, and virtually worldwide.